Yeah, back in the gym. Have you been in the gym today? Don't lie, it ain't too late. Get in the gym. Do some of these incline dumbbell press. It's a little chill in here, but watch this video and I'll get back to you.
That we share President Trump's message everywhere and adapt this White House to the new media landscape in 2025. This White House believes strongly in the First Amendment, so it's why our team will work diligently to restore the press passes of the 440 journalists whose passes were wrongly revoked by the previous administration. We're also opening up this briefing room to new media voices who produce news-related content and whose outlet is not already represented by one of the seats in this room. We welcome independent journalists, podcasters, social media influencers, and content creators to apply for credentials to cover this White House. This seat in the front of the room, which is usually occupied by the press secretary's staff, will be called the new media seat. My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House.
All right. Just did a little incline walk on the treadmill. What do I think about this? This new media thing, right? I think it's a good thing. I think the White House, they recognize that, people do not trust the mainstream media as much, or they are going away from them to get their news. I think the new administration knows this, so that's why they're allowing what they call the new media, which is, podcasters, independent content creators that, do news or whatever. They understand that. But, as you can see, people are against it. Why? I don't know why, right? Well, you can guess that certain mainstream news outlets are against it because it's going to take away from their credibility or their reach. All these mainstream media channels, Fox, CNN, ABC, right? Just by looking, you can tell that one way is leaning towards Democratic views or Republican views. So just look at this clip of The View, how they hate this new press secretary. Like, they hate her with everything. Like, she's just being straightforward. I think she's doing a good job being transparent, and excuse the airplane, but yeah, just watch this video and you'll see exactly, like, it's so much hate, you know what I'm saying? You see a lot of evilness, but yeah, watch this, I'll get back to you.
All right.
What'd she say?
She basically said that they were going to give unqualified
God, how boring.
unqualified
Can I get
people
somebody there
jobs.
not
The
so
Behind
tedious?
the Table podcast needs to apply for White House credentials.
Oh, they'd love having Joy in that room.
Joy
So
can
I
go.
got a question. So wait a second. So in other words, instead of Bob Woodward, they want Kim Kardashian? What? I don't get it.
Wait, okay.
I have a question, which is why I was leading us in this direction.
Yeah.
I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason, because black people couldn't get into colleges, because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women.
Yeah.
See, this is not black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure that this was a person's world. So please stop using that phrase and talking about, because you don't understand what you're saying. You're saying about yourself that, hey, that's a terrible thing to be. It's not a terrible thing to be. That's why we fought. That's what we were fighting for, so that you could stand in that podium, so that Catherine Jean-Pierre could stand at that podium. So women of all kinds of colors and ilks, wherever they came from, whatever their belief system was, they had the opportunity to bust down that door.
By the way, I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Whatever I'm saying, this is the first time that she's been she may be. But my point is that job would not maybe have been open to her.
No, I understand. I just wanted
us.
to clarify that. But on the issue of the new media, because I actually think this is kind of brilliant, and I think future Democratic White Houses should do the same thing. We're realizing this election, how people consume media has drastically changed. This was the Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Alex Cooper election. It wasn't mainstream old school media that was driving people's interest in what they were following and the stories they were. And I think this is an acknowledgement that Trump realizes this.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, I agree with this allowing, new media to be in the White House. You know what I'm saying? Part of the press. It'll reach, the audience that don't believe in the mainstream media, which is, a lot of people don't believe it because, they have their hidden agendas. So just use common sense and, choose the media that you want, one that's not biased towards one way or another, man. So stay in the gym, get healthy, eat right, and let's win together.
People consume media has drastically changed. This was the Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Alex Cooper election. It wasn't mainstream old school media that was driving people's interest in what they were following and the stories they were. And I think this is an acknowledgement that Trump realizes this. This is a person who made his career in television.
What's to prevent those media influences from being only on his side?
Well, there will be partisans, but I think it was promising that they brought in Axios, which is mainstream, but then they brought in Breitbart, which is a right-wing outlet. And so some of the outlets that had their passes revoked when Biden came in were right-of-center outlets. I don't have a problem with partisan outlets being there as long as it's representative of both sides and you have non-biased traditional media there as well, and that it's fact-driven how they cover it.
The problem that I have with it, though, is, she's saying that these people that are going to apply will meet their criteria. We understand that their criteria is woefully deficient and unserious. Right. I think that their real problem in this election, one of the real problems among the many, is the misinformation and disinformation that was disseminated on social media by these influencers and by these podcasters. Why are they qualified to sit in front in the White House briefing room and tell America what is going on with the country? I traditionally, to become a White House correspondent or to be in that briefing room, you had to have a journalism degree.
Yeah.
You had to have qualifications. So I guess the rise of mediocrity is here to
Well,
stay.
they're making Snapchat equivalent to the New York Times.
No, but you guys are minimizing something really important here. There was a time where there were 3 evening broadcasts for news. Yes. Everyone sat down around the TV and they watched these 3 news outlets. Now you look at where people consume news. 54% of American adults say they get news from social media. A large majority of U.S. adults, 86%, say they get at least some of their information. If you don't want mis and disinformation, which is inevitable obviously with this administration, but if you want to go directly to the source and have people receive it themselves and put it out to their audiences, I'd rather have them in that room. Influencers are not just the Kardashians. They're also the Brene Browns. You've got podcasts like Pod Saves America. There are people that only consume their news from
Let's see
other...
if they show up.
And I do
Let's see
think
if
that
they allow
there
it.
are a lot of Americans who do feel like the mainstream media got a lot wrong in recent years. And while there are editorial standards, I don't think that we can definitively say because you have